Best of life.
We find ourselves in really hard times in which we're struggling, and it's nice to be reminded or surrounded by messages that say that love can flow with ease.
Being able to cultivate really loving, healthy relationships with other people in recovery has been such a gift for me.
This is a meeting at the Diversity Recovery Center, a brand new space for addiction recovery meetings, specifically for the LGBTQ+ community.
A person in recovery walks into a space. They're really scared, especially if they're new. So when you're LGBTQIA and you walk into this space, you start seeing that, oh, I'm home and I'm going to be safe here.
With 30 years of sobriety, Chris Crouch wanted to give back by bringing the Diversity Recovery Center to San
This morning, many people still missing, and officials confirmed 25 deaths after devastating flooding throughout the Texas Hill Country.
An absolute tragic situation, Sarah. Heavy rains causing major damage and even washing away several homes and structures near Kerrville, Ingram, Hunt, and other nearby areas. Over 200 people that we know of, many of them children, have been rescued, more than half by helicopter.
That's right. So here's a look at some of that drone video of the destructive flooding that we saw yesterday in Kerrville. I was with our photojournalist Robert Samaron when we took this, and you can see, RJ, there's just we saw, I don't know, 5-6 cars in just one concentrated area off of Loop 534 near Bandera Highway. That's a home right there that was completely leveled. This neighborhood backs into the Guadalupe River. The swelling of the river was just tremendous all day yesterday, and we continued to have rain out there all day while we were out there doing our coverage, and it was just so devastating, RJ,
Absolutely,
to be
yes.
out there and to see all of just the devastation, the homes destruction, and the people that they're still looking for.
And these individuals as well, basically trying to scramble to basically preserve and save any of their property, any of their belongings, their pets, also trying to just get their kids out, their family members, and make sure that their friends and family were safe. I believe that's video that Alex Gomez shot yesterday along the Guadalupe River, showing that one home basically completely flooded from roof down to its foundation. Several emergency crews, vehicles on the scene at several different locations across the Texas Hill Country. Definitely a developing situation that we are still continuing to follow this morning.
Right, and we have our continuing coverage continues. We're going to have crews out there throughout the day, and we will get to them soon. But first, we want to talk to Sarah Spivey about what we can expect, especially out in the Hill Country today. Sarah.
Let's start with some good news, guys. The good news is there are currently no more flood warnings along the Guadalupe River. The Guadalupe is receding, and it's receding into Canyon Lake, which is only 40-something% full. So the good news is there's no more flooding along the Guadalupe River, and first responders can get to doing their jobs in hopefully rescuing some people and getting out there. One thing to keep in mind, though, is you can clearly see that we're still dealing with rain in the area. We've got a low pressure system right overhead, and it is not budging. This is that same low pressure system that brought that devastating rain out near Kerr County. You can see that early this morning we've got flooding ongoing in Burnett County. And just to the west of Austin, out toward Marble Falls, Buchanan, Lake Buchanan, that's where we're having some flash flood emergencies, flash flood rescues ongoing at the moment. Around San Antonio, we're just dealing with some light rain, but there is some more moderate rainfall from Stockdale to Luling. This is not necessarily flooding rains, but it is heavy rains that are falling. And as we take a look at the forecast for the weekend, I have to say that because that low is directly overhead and not really budging, the National Weather Service has issued another flood watch for our area. All of these counties in green, including the Hill Country up toward Austin and San Antonio, under a flood watch until 7 p.m. A flood watch means we're watching for the potential for flooding, as additional flooding is possible because there will be areas of in the green that see 1 to 3 inches of additional rain today, and within those areas there could be pockets of 6+. That would result in some flooding. So we're watching for flooding until 7 p.m. today with that flood watch in place. As for San Antonio's rain chances, what we're looking at is about a 60% chance for a few showers and storms today. They could be on the heavier side. Tomorrow, still a possibility for some rain, but some less coverage there. High temperature of 89. Guys, we're not totally out of the woods yet. We're going to continue to keep you posted. Coming up, I'm going to have a complete recap of everything that has happened across the Hill Country along the Guadalupe, and at what time the river has crested and what we can expect for the rest of the weekend as well.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Sarah. And again, just want to kind of reset and what we know this morning after a press conference last night about the flood damage and obviously the devastation in Kerrville and the Hill Country. In a press conference late last night, they confirmed 25 fatalities so far, one of those being in Kendall County, and there are still several people missing. They probably expect a little bit more in terms of fatalities later on, Sarah.
That's right, and the Guadalupe River continued to rise overnight at Spring Branch. Now let's take a look at this photo. You're looking at a photo from Camp La Junta at around 4:30 yesterday morning. Look how high that water is. So KSAT obtained this image from a mom of one of the campers.
That's right. One of the counselors there who luckily was able to evacuate all of his campers from that cabin. However, they were still stranded and waiting to be rescued. This is a photo right here of kids at Camp Mystic. So this was an area that obviously had a lot of concerns out there. There were still a lot of kids that were unaccounted for. And there were some reunifications, though. Some folks, some people reunited with their families as well out there at Camp Mystic. Just a scary scene for a bunch of those kids out there.
And right now, we do have crews in Kerrville. Are we going to go to them in just a bit? All right. Our Patty Santos is live from the scene of the aftermath, and she was also there yesterday during that flooding while it unfolded.
That's right. Patty was along Highway 27 and 39, and she's back out there this morning. And Patty, you guys had some of the most compelling images from yesterday morning. What can you tell us about how things are looking this morning as those crews continue the search for those individuals?
Hey there, good morning. So it is very quiet right now, but we do want to give you a sense. This is an area right here. Look at this house right in front of us. You could see the water pushed in that those doors right inside of it. Everything else around it is leaning. There's debris all over the place. You could see that X. That X right there means that crews already came in, they checked it out, they made sure no one was inside, and then they cleared it. But we're going to continue to drive here this morning on Highway 39. This is an area we could not access at all yesterday. We drove up here not knowing whether or not we were going to get a signal because we wanted to see for ourselves what this looked like. It is incredible. We are crossing one of the bridges here right now, one of the small creeks, and you could just see some of the debris that is left on the side here. Look at this. We could not get a sense of what was happening yesterday. The water has gone down significantly, but look at what is left right now. This is a look at from our camera on the top here, all of this is supposed to be a bridge. All of that is just cluttering the side of the road. Again, like we said, things are very quiet as far as rescue right now. We just pulled in to Ingram. We drove through one of the emergency command centers, and there's a lot of cars right there, but I'm not sure if there's any active rescues happening right now. I know that the governor and emergency officials said yesterday that this is something that they were going to continue to do throughout the night, but so far it's been very quiet since we first got here. But we're just in awe of what Mother Nature has left behind, and some of the buildings that were left behind here, they look a lot like this. So there's going to be a lot of cleanup that's going to be left to do in the next few days. But again, this is Highway 39, this was closed all of yesterday. Even emergency officials could not get through here, but the road is a lot clearer now, and I know that this is something that we're going to continue to bring you images throughout the morning. But some of this water now making its way down south to where our Erica Hernandez is right now. Erica, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Patty, we're here at the FM 311 bridge in Spring Branch. The roads here are actually still open. The sheriff's office is up ahead and monitoring this bridge here and making sure those water levels, if they go over, that they close it immediately. Now, driving in the bridge at 281, as well as the Rebecca Creek Bridge, all of them, they tell us, are still open at this time, but they are monitoring closely. As you could see, it's still raining out here. It has picked up at times, but as of 11 p.m. last night, Arzario said it was pretty dry coming into town here into Spring Branch, but by 3:30 a.m., a few hours later, that river had gone up significantly. Now, we're still not sure how much further up it's going to go. We'll be here monitoring this all morning long here in Spring Branch, but for now, this is all the roads are still and the bridges are still open here. One thing they are concerned about, though, is debris that will be coming downstream. They've already said they're starting to see some of it come downriver here into the Spring Branch area. We'll be here all morning monitoring here the bridges and making sure to see just how high the river will get here. We'll throw it back to you, RJ and Sarah.
Erica, thank you. And of course, we have several crews going to be out in the hill country continuing our coverage throughout the morning. It is 6:10 and 77 degrees.
And let's take you outside with a live cam right now as we give you a look here. City of San Antonio, everything is looking okay for the most part. We do got some wet weather out there for the most part across the city, but nothing like what we've seen in the hill country. Our coverage of those devastating floods will continue in just a little bit. Welcome back to Good Morning San Antonio on this Saturday morning, a day after devastating flooding in the Hill Country. So you're taking a look now at a list of shelters that have been set up for those people that were affected out there in Comfort. They're at Comfort High School at the Emmanuel Lutheran Church.
That's right. In Kerrville, shelters are at Calvary Temple Church, Notre Dame Catholic Church, Shriner University, and First United Methodist Church, and reunification centers for those who are still missing are also set up, one at Ingram Elementary School and one at Arcadia in If you live in Kerrville, you can find that list of all of those on our website that we are continuing to update and monitor as we learn more about these shelters and centers. Just head to ksat.com.
Yeah, and you could also go to the Kerrville, the county sheriff's office as well, and also the police department. They're kind of updating all the folks there for everyone out there in Ingram and Hunt as well. So several different shelters and places where we've seen people kind of reunited with families. That's at least is some bit of good news as they continue the search for some other victims this morning.
All right. It's 6:14 and 77 degrees. Coming up after the break, we're going to be taking a live look at Kerrville. This is right there off of Loop 534 off of the Guadalupe River, but we're going to be giving you a live look from what it looks like this morning. Good morning and welcome back. It is 77 degrees and 618 here in San Antonio. We continue our coverage of this devastating and deadly flooding in the Hill Country, and we have crews across the area, including one from our KPRC sister station out of Houston.
That's right. Robert Arnold is joining us. He is out in the Hill Country for us on this Saturday morning, basically 24 hours after we saw those floods cause some major damage out there. Hunt, which is near the Ingram area as well. So, Robert, thank you very much for being with us this morning. And what's the latest that you could tell us from your vantage point?
The damage is utterly catastrophic. Even in this dark pre-dawn light, you can see just how devastating these floodwaters are. This is a car. I can't even tell if this, what I'm standing next to, is actually a home or a business because of all the debris that has been just pushed through this structure, uprooted. As we were driving from Kerrville into Hunt, we saw cars turned over. We saw portions of the road washed away, and bear with us as we walk down here so we can show you some of this. The water came over the road and went into portions of the neighborhood that's close. The river is about 100 yards from where we are, and the water is still rushing so fast I can hear it clearly. And you can look off in the distance there. I know it's hard to see in the dark, but it went far enough to knock that vehicle on its side. It's an SUV there, and what we are told from the National Weather Service in the Austin-San Antonio office is that the water rose 22 feet in about 2 hours, and that the gauge stopped recording when the water hit about 29 feet. This blew debris through the town of Hunt. And again, to try and give you an indication of how high that water was, as we're walking over here, look in these lines. The debris actually went up into these lines, and it went through with such force. It ripped these gas pumps off of their foundation. It also blew through this store and is just decimated the inside of this little grocery store here in the town of Hunt. Now, a little farther down the road is the entrance, or one of the entrances, to Camp Mystic. We saw sheriff's deputies up and down this road searching properties, looking for anybody who may need help. They hadn't found anybody yet. They tell us that at first light, we're going to start seeing a lot more search crews come through this area to start looking for all those young ladies who are unaccounted for. They also say they have several people. They didn't have an exact number, but they have several people who are unaccounted for here in the town of Hunt as well. So that's why you've seen these sheriff's deputies. They're just out having to walk the property. It's very tough work. It's very hard work because it is dark. That work, though, will explode as soon as the sun comes up. We're going to be here for that. And as soon as we see those search crews coming in, we're going to update you. So for now, we are live in Hunt. Robert Arnold, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Robert, being out there, boots on the ground, seeing that devastating damage. And I want to put this in perspective for people where Robert is right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rainfall that occurred out in Kerr County. Where Robert is Hunt, so that's right here. You can see yesterday up to a foot of radar estimated rain fell right along Highway 39, which essentially hugs the Guadalupe River. Here you can see Camp Mystic, Camp La Junta, and then again out toward Ingram. So this much rain in a short period of time resulted in devastating flooding for these areas. Take a look at what happened to the Guadalupe River in a matter of hours. The Guadalupe at Hunt crested at 29 feet at 4:35 in the morning yesterday. Then the floodwaters made it just 10 minutes later to the gauge at Kerrville, where it crested in major flood stage at 23 feet. Throughout the rest of the morning, it made it to Center Point at 7:15, cresting at 21, and then to Comfort just before midday, cresting at 35 feet. Then, following all of these bends in the river in Kendall County, the water built up quite a bit, and by the time the floodwaters reached Ammons Crossing there nearer to Bergheim, it was 7:15 in the evening, and it crested at 50 feet before eventually making it to Spring Branch. Early this morning, just about an hour ago, it crested at 29 feet in Spring Branch. The good news is all of this water is flowing into Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake is only 40-some-odd% full, so it can take all of the water without folks having to worry about it being released downstream toward New Braunfels. So that is good news there. And more good news is that we are starting to see the river recede everywhere, and flooding is no longer a concern. concern along the Guadalupe River. Now we can see rescue efforts, recovery efforts being made in full as we approach the light of day. Looking at the authority radar, this is the situation at the moment. We've got some heavier rain falling from Luling down to Stockdale out to Gonzales in eastern Guadalupe County. Around San Antonio, it's just some light to moderate rain. But as we take a look at the bigger picture, I do have to caution you, we are still dealing with that big upper level low just sitting directly overhead. This is the last 24 hours. You can see that low pressure system. It is a stubborn low pressure system that is not really budging. All it's dealing with is this Gulf moisture, and there's no cold front or any other weather feature to kick it out of the way. And so what you're looking at is essentially a rain bomb parked right over central Texas. And so because of that, we have to be extra cautious today. There is a flood watch today until 7 p.m. for areas in the green, counties in the green. That does include Bexar County. It does include the Hill Country, includes areas up near Austin, even as far south as Pleasanton, Floresville, and Gonzales County. What are we watching for? That's what a flood watch means. We're watching for the potential for additional flooding. For the most part today, some areas, if you do get rain, you're going to see a quick 1 to 3 inches of rain. That could result in some minor flooding, but there will be a few pockets of 6+ inches of rain somewhere within this entire area. Doesn't mean we're going to see 6+ inches of rain in San Antonio, but it is a possibility. So because of that, we're going to be watching for the potential for flooding. Let me show you what the futurecast shows right now. And again, this is something that we're going to be watching very carefully. But you can see by this afternoon, there could be a few heavier downpours in places. And that could continue even into early tomorrow morning. Early tomorrow morning, there could be additional flooding in parts of the Hill Country. So we'll have to keep you posted tomorrow as well. But when we break it down for you, here's a look at your KSAT 12-hour forecast for San Antonio today. Right now, just some light rain. We're in the 70s. Right around noon, we'll be in the low 80s. In the afternoon, we have the potential for heavy rain, 60% chance. Doesn't mean it's going to rain in your backyard, but there's the potential there. Otherwise, high temperature of 85. And as for the weekend, we're going to be looking at a smaller chance for rain tomorrow, but even a small chance there for a few showers and storms, about 30%. The bottom line is, as we take a look at the headlines, what do you need to know? The Guadalupe River is receding. It's reaching Canyon Lake today, and Canyon Lake can take on all of that water. There is a flood watch for pockets of heavy rain possible until 7 p.m. for all of our viewing area, essentially across the Hill Country. And in San Antonio, there's a 60% chance of rain today, 30% chance tomorrow. Looking at your 7-day forecast, you can see that we are going to continue to see a chance for rain through at least Tuesday, Wednesday, even though we're probably not going to have that big rain bomb overhead by Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we dry out into Thursday and Friday. We're going to be back with more news after the break.
This is a time when we as a state, we as a community, this is a time when we as a state, we as a community need God more than ever.
Well, this morning, these counties currently under disaster declaration signed by Governor Greg Abbott. You can see several of them on your screen right now, and we continue our coverage of this devastating and deadly flooding in the Hill Country that happened yesterday.
That's right. Governor Abbott's issuing that disaster declaration late last night after the flooding out there. And he also issued a statement regarding the devastation in the Hill Country. He says the state is providing all necessary resources to Kerrville, Ingram, Hunt, and the entire Texas Hill Country, saying in part, quote, "The state of Texas today has mobilized additional resources in addition to the resources sent in preparation for these storms," end quote. And he is urging all Texans to seek guidance from state and local officials.
And again, right now, what we know so far about that flood damage in Kerrville, in a press conference, they confirmed 25 fatalities so far, with more expected. Plus, the Guadalupe River rose to almost 30 feet overnight at Spring Branch. Sarah Spivey has been keeping us updated on the situation throughout the morning.
Yeah, thank you guys. Just absolutely devastating. As we take a look at the authority radar right now, the situation as it's unfolding is that there is currently massive flooding ongoing near Burnett at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the lightning so you can see this a little bit better. So here you've got Marble Falls. This is Lake Buchanan. Of course, the Colorado River that flows into Lake Travis down near Austin. This is where we've got life-threatening flash flooding at the moment. The reason I'm showing you this, of course, is because many people have friends and family that are camping in the area for the 4th of July holiday weekend. But also you can very clearly see counterclockwise spin here. That is that same low pressure system that has just parked itself over south central Texas over the last couple of days. This is the same low pressure system that brought that devastating flooding along the Guadalupe. Now, the good news is the Guadalupe River is receding. It's no longer in flood stage. So that is some good news there. Rescuers and first responders can get out. The bad news is we've still got this low pressure system overhead. So you can see that we're dealing with heavy rain from Luling to Gonzales out towards Seguin, Lavernia, and Stockdale. This is moving, so it's not creating a risk for flooding at the moment. We'll keep you posted. Around San Antonio, we've just got some light rain at the moment. When we look at our headlines, the key things to keep in mind today is that the Guadalupe River is receding and it's reaching Canyon Lake today. Canyon Lake is only 46% full, so Canyon Lake is going to be able to take on all of that water from the Guadalupe. We're likely not going to have any issues along the Guadalupe from Canyon Lake to New Braunfels. There is a flood watch, though, throughout the day today for pockets of heavy rain until 7 p.m. Today, that rain chance is 60%. Tomorrow, 30%. I'm going to be back to analyze rainfall amounts, rainfall totals, and tell you what you can expect into next week.
All right, thank you very much for that, Sarah. And we've had several crews out this morning kind of surveying the situation and also following some of the aftermath of what we saw yesterday morning. Erica Hernandez is one of our crews who's out in the Spring Branch area, and she was at FM 311, which is pretty close. It's off the Guadalupe River and pretty close to kind of the Smithson Valley area. So hopefully all of our folks out there, Smithson Valley, are doing okay. Erica, what's the latest you could tell us from the Spring Branch area?
Yeah, RJ, right now, like you said, we're on the FM 311. We're starting to get a first look at what the river looks like because we're starting to get a little bit daylight. I'm not sure if you could see, but you could see how fast it's moving, but it has not reached to the top of the bridge. Right now, all the bridges, in fact, are still open here in Spring Branch. That includes Rebecca Creek, includes 281 Bridge as well, but we're still monitoring this closely. The sheriff's office is still out here looking closely at the bridges to make sure that this water, if it gets any higher, that they close it down immediately. One thing they're also concerned about down here is that debris is starting to come in from down a river, so they're starting to see some of that here in Spring Branch as well. But as of for now, everything is still open here, but as you can see, it is still raining. So they are watching everything closely, and we will continue to monitor this here at Spring Branch as well. We know our Patty Santos is out in Kerr County right now. Patty, what are you seeing out there right now?
No, vamos a movernos para allá. Oh, there's mixed minus in this.
Yeah, so I don't know if Patty's ready to go yet. She is there in Kerr County right now in between Ingram and Hunt. That she's been out there all morning, and I don't know, Patty, what are you seeing out there right now?
All right, looks like Patty is getting ready. At this time, again, we're going to have crews throughout the morning. Are we going to go back to Patty, or do we want?
One thing before we get Patty in our production room, they could kind of get her situated. So obviously, she was talking about some audio difficulties she's having out there. But Erica brought up a good point. We saw this earlier with the reports from our sister station, KPRC. The amount of debris that is likely going through the river as well. That can cause some major issues for a lot of folks that are still kind of along the river, or maybe still having plans in that area. Maybe you have some of your own structures in that area. Just keep that in mind, is that there's going to be a lot of down trees, a lot of down debris and things of that nature, especially on the roads. I was looking at the Drive Texas map, and basically for the most part, a lot of those roads not only reporting flooding, but also debris on the roads as well. And so as you make your way back potentially to those areas.
And we definitely saw that out there yesterday, and we have a crew. Patty is ready to show us, and as neighbors are waking up and starting that cleanup process. Right, Patty?
Hey there, good morning, Sarah. And we are still on Highway 39 here, but we wanted to show you what the scene looks like in a picnic area. If you're familiar with this area and you've come here, and maybe you've sat here, it is right next to the Guadalupe River. But this is some of the debris that has been left behind here. This is the picnic area. This right here, it looks like it's a mailbox. It belonged to, it says Word of Life. Word of Life sounds like a church. We did see a church when we passed up there. It could be from them, but this is some of the debris that was stuck. Look, we're looking at a chair right here, probably coming from a campground up north. But this is what we're seeing right here. And just take a look behind me right there. That is the Guadalupe River. That is probably where it usually stays at. It's a little stronger this morning than it is, but that's where it stays at. But just how wide the debris that's left behind, how wide this river became during this flood. This is an area that no one had access to yesterday because just how strong this was. This is another sign. Look, this is an area, again, this is a picnic area right next to the Guadalupe River. The sign torn down. This is a tree. There's a lot of trees right on the other side of the street here being pulled this way. The trees being uplifted from the roots. It's just one little glimpse of just how massive and how widespread this flood became yesterday. We're going to continue to bring you more images throughout the morning. We'll send it back to you guys.
Patty, thank you. And here is some more video from Kerrville yesterday. This might have been the video that actually Patty or Alex Gomez got yesterday when we sent our crews out at 4 in the morning while that flooding was happening. You can see cars stuck in the Guadalupe River. I was there yesterday all day in Kerrville covering this, and we actually spoke to a man who survived. Him and his wife were rushed away by the water from inside their home, and here's what he had to say about that experience. This home floated about the length of a football field down the Guadalupe River when the flash flood rose quickly into the homes on Waterfront Drive in Kerrville along Bandera Highway and Loop 534. And this is what's left of that home, completely leveled by the river behind it. And the neighbors tell us they fear that the people who lived here may have not survived. And we spoke with the people who live next door, and they walk us through what happened.
But I had no idea that something like this could happen. And then, holy stuff started to hit the walls, and my wife jumped up and looked out the back porch, and it was a river.
Scott Walden and his wife say the water came in so fast there was no time to evacuate.
By the time I went to get my keys to move my truck out of the way, to just back up across the street, the water had risen and flooded my truck. The water got up there in the door about this high, and I looked at my wife, and it was like, we need to get out of here.
That water too strong and fast, sweeping them down the river.
We went ahead and jumped out, and we got washed down 3 houses, and we finally ended up snagged on a big bush. So we hung onto the bush until we got rescued.
They hung onto a crepe myrtle tree for about 30 minutes before they were rescued by police officers who formed a human chain.
We were kind of going, we hope this isn't it.
Walden says they are grateful to be alive, saying his destroyed home and cars are just material things.
Yeah, this is just stuff.
Neighbor Irma Cantu says they live a couple of houses over, fortunate their home is safe and they were able to evacuate quick enough. Feeling overwhelmed.
A feeling of sadness because, I mean, even the people that were here weren't expecting this to happen.
As they pick up the pieces and continue to look for neighbors and loved ones, she hopes it's a time where the community can stand strong.
Helping each other this is when we need to come together and help each other out.
Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News.
Okay, and Sarah, absolutely compelling images out there, and thankful that those families are okay, but you got a firsthand look at some of that damage out there. I imagine that it was just a startling sight.
And it was just a very, very small portion. Yeah. You know, throughout the day, our crews are going to be out there continuing to look at that damage. But we want to take a look. We heard from 2 campers at Camp La Junta. Luckily, all the campers at that camp were able to evacuate the cabin, including 2 brothers we're about to hear from who were away at that camp and recalled the moment their cabin was interrupted by those floodwaters.
That's right. So let's go ahead and hear from them in just a little bit, because we saw some photos earlier of basically their entire cabin, that one structure that was completely flooded, and they actually had to climb up to the top bunks as water began to rush to the ceiling of those cabins out there. And they had to make a quick decision as well, as many of these kids in this situation, I mean, you can imagine just how scared, how terrified they were, which is to swim to higher ground. Let's hear from them.
I'm one of the campers from Camp Lahana, one of the camps that flooded, and I had a firsthand view of the flood, and so the cabins were flooding and the walls were like, they broke down, and all of the campers in those cabins had to go up on the rafters, and they had to wait there until they could swim out. And my brother here, he had to swim out of his cabin.
The flood started getting bigger, and it was going up to, we have bunk beds in our cabins, and it was going up to the top bunk, and we had one choice, and we had to swim out of our cabins.
What time was it? Was this
It was like, we woke up at 2.
Yeah, we had to wake up at like 4 a.m. But on the way here, we saw all of like the other camps destroyed, like obliterated.
And where were? And can you tell me, how'd you guys get out of there? Did they put you guys on buses, or did you have
Yes,
to wait?
Yeah, we had to get on a bus.
Yes, we had to get on a bus. We were in other cabins for like cabins on hills for about 17 hours waiting until
we hosted a cabin.
The buses get here, and it was not fun.
I can't imagine those brave little boys there. Thank you for sharing their story. And who you're looking at now, this is Kellyanne Lytle. This is a photo that was shared with us by her father. She was at Camp Mystic. She has still not been located at this time. So her family really just urging the public to take a look out for their little girl, Kellyanne Lytle.
Yeah, and she was part of those campers there at Camp Mystic. I spoke to Kellyanne's father yesterday. He was obviously emotional, devastating feeling not being able to locate his daughter. He wanted to share this photo with us, just if anyone has any idea of her whereabouts, that they could contact, obviously, local authorities in Kerr County and also the Kerrville Police Department.
We want to tell you about another missing family after these catastrophic floods. So you're looking at the Tivy soccer coach, Reese Zunker, his wife Paula, and 2 children. They are ages 8 and 3. They have been reporting missing. This family is from Kerrville, and the coach Zunker has been the soccer coach at Tivy High School for the past 12 years, according to other family members. He and his family were vacationing in Hunt along with Paula's mother, Lucy. The house sat on the river between Camp Lahana and Camp Mystic and still has not been found.
A family member reaching out to KSAT with the following information. Reese and Paula are in their late 30s, and Lyle is 8 and Holland is 3 years old. They went missing early this morning when the water, that would be yesterday morning, when the water swept the house that they were staying in. Paula's mother, Lucy, was rescued by helicopter, and the rest of the family is missing.
A big concern, Camp Mystic, and they released an update sending an email to parents of campers saying Mystic families, campers are currently, they were evacuated via helicopter in small groups. They were taken to Ingram School, and will have an update as we learn more on that situation.
And something that Sarah Spivey, I know, has been pointing out was that obviously this was a holiday weekend.
Right.
So we had several campers along that one stretch of Highway 39. We had all these other families that were there to celebrate what was probably supposed to be a good summer weekend. And unfortunately, we have this devastation now. So a lot more people along the Guadalupe River, and we are continuing to send our prayers out to them as they continue those search and rescue efforts.
Definitely a very heavy atmosphere while we were out there yesterday, and our coverage continues. And throughout the morning, we will bring you live shots out there as our crews are on the ground as they pick up the pieces this morning. Take a look outside with live cam here locally, 77 degrees at 6:48. Those clouds lingering. Sarah Spivey will have our full forecast, what we can expect here, and also what we can continue to expect out in the Hill Country. Continue our coverage of this devastating and deadly flood with crews all over the Hill Country. We will bring you that live coverage throughout the morning.
Yeah, stick with us throughout the rest of the morning. We're going to take you through 10 o'clock for Good Morning San Antonio. We'll be right back.
For weeks now, we've reported about migrants being detained at immigration court in downtown San Antonio. These just some of the scenes. It is still happening, but now we're starting to see more minors being detained as well.
One attorney who is part of hearings at immigration court every day tells our Erica Hernandez that more people are not showing up for those hearings.
On any given day, this bus will sit outside immigration court downtown on De La Rosa Street. On rare days, it leaves empty, but most days, migrants are detained after their cases dismissed in court.
This morning, many people still missing, and officials confirmed 25 deaths after those devastating floods throughout the Texas Hill Country on the 4th of July.
And you can take a look at the video behind us. The amount of devastation caused by that heavy rainfall that fell along the Texas Hill Country and along the Guadalupe River, washing away homes near Kerrville, Ingram, Hunt, and other nearby areas. Over 200 people, many of them children, Sarah, have been rescued. A lot of those people by helicopter.
Yeah, when we were out there yesterday, they couldn't put their boats in. The first responders had to do all these rescues via aircraft. And here's a look at some of the drone video that our photojournalist Robert Samaron and I got out there yesterday. This is at the Guadalupe River off of Loop 534 near Bandera Highway. We saw several cars in the water. Those huge trees just completely toppled over, and we even saw a home that was swept away into the water. I mean, it was just a slat of concrete that was left. And we continue our live coverage as we have several teams out there this morning, talking to the people as people are picking up the pieces.
And as the sun kind of rises on this Saturday morning, we're able to see a little bit more of the devastation and the aftermath, especially along Highway 39. Right. That was that one stretch where we had several campgrounds and obviously a lot of reports of high water rescues, things of that nature, and unfortunately some people that are still unaccounted for.
We want to get right to Sarah Spivey, who's keeping us updated. Sarah, what does the Hill Country look like today?
Well, the reason why we can see some of the damage, a lot of the damage now, is because the Guadalupe River is starting to be below flood stage. And so the waters are receding along the Guadalupe River from Kerrville to Comfort all the way out to Spring Branch. We've actually just seen the waters of the Guadalupe rise at Spring Branch and Crest. They are now starting to recede. So that is some good news as the Guadalupe River flows into Canyon Lake here. The lake will be able to take on all of that water because the lake is only 46% full. So it is going to be able to take on that water. You can see right now, though, that we are still dealing with some rain. It's just light rain in San Antonio, just light rain across the Hill Country. We've got some heavier downpours happening from Seguin out toward Luling, down toward Lavernia and out near Gonzales. But the main area of flooding overnight has been up nearer to the Austin metro area. We're talking about Burnett, Marble Falls, all the way up toward Lampasas there. Think about Lake Buchanan, think about the Colorado River through Marble Falls out toward Lake Travis. These areas have seen 10+ inches of rain, so they have been dealing with some devastating flooding. Needless to say, this big low pressure system that has caused the devastating flooding across south central Texas is still overhead, and it's not really budging anywhere. You can see that low right here. Over the last 24 hours, it has just parked itself across central Texas. And so because that low is not moving, we still have the potential for flooding today. We have a flood watch in effect until 7 p.m. for all of the counties you see here in green, including San Antonio area up toward the Hill Country, Fredericksburg, Kerrville, Boerne, San Marcos, Austin, Seguin, Floresville, Pleasanton, Gonzales, and Hondo, all under this flood watch, because we are watching for the potential for flooding. Until 7 p.m., additional flooding is going to be possible today. If you get some heavy rain, areas of 1 to 3 inches of rain are likely, but we could see pockets of more than 6 inches of rain on an already saturated ground. That's exactly what happened up near the Marble Falls Burnett area earlier this morning. So we are going to continue to keep you posted. As for our weekend forecast, know that today in San Antonio, afternoon heavy rain is possible, and then tomorrow slightly less coverage with a few spotty storms. But still, we are going to be on alert all weekend long for the potential for flooding. If there's any good news, it's that the Guadalupe River, for most of the river stretch from Kerrville all the way out into Kendall County, is now no longer in flood stage. So that is some good news. Hopefully first responders, rescuers can get out and do their job. Guys.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Sarah. And again, just want to update everyone on what we know this morning, basically 24 hours after that flooding damage out there in the Guadalupe River. So in a press conference late last night, state officials confirmed 25 deaths so far. One of those deaths was in Kendall County, so that one, not sure if that's associated with flooding, but again, 25 is the number that they've given us so far, with more expected. Plus, the Guadalupe River rose to close to 30 feet overnight over in Spring Branch.
And a big story that we've been following, we were able to see kids from Camp Mystic being reunited with their families yesterday. This is at Ingram Elementary, where they were reuniting those families with those children. Still 23 campers still missing from Camp Mystic. 237 girls were rescued from Camp Mystic yesterday. The search continues for the missing. I know a lot of families posting the pictures of their loved ones as they continue to search for them throughout the morning. Of course, we were going to keep you updated on that situation of those 23 missing campers at Camp Mystic throughout the morning.
And Sarah, state officials did also say yesterday that there were 18 campgrounds that they had been in contact with over the course of that entire period yesterday. So again, state officials trying to contact these camp officials to make sure that they do get the right amount of people that were at these different campsites. But again, it is an ongoing situation out there.
And right now we actually have a crew in Kerrville. Our Patty Santos is live from the scene of the aftermath. Patty, what does it look like this morning?
Hey there, good morning, guys. So we are right outside the Canyon Springs Ranch. It is right near the Guadalupe River, right near the Schumacher Crossing, which is what it's called. But you can see that fence line that was there completely gone. This area, the river is right down here. The area is actually a little elevated from the river, but you can see that the water reached this entire area here. We're right in front of a house, and follow me for a second right here. I want to show you just how devastating this water was. There was a fence that used to be right here. It is now gone, and these brick things right here, these posts, you could see they were uprooted. The one that's here, it was lifted up. I don't know where it is, but right across the road here, you could see the fence is gone, and you can see just how close the water got to the door. Now, I'm about 5'5", and you could see just how high the water got. You could see it's up here. It could have even possibly gone a little higher. It's difficult to tell here, but that water pushed in. Again, we're in an elevated area from where the river is, but it pushed in, broke into the back porch. You could see the damage to the garage there as well. And you could see this little tree. It stood no chance being bent over, but it's still rooted. This is just a little bit of the example of the damage that we're seeing this morning for the very first time, because Highway 39 completely closed to us yesterday. We could not see this. We're going to continue to bring you more of these images throughout the morning. We'll send it back to you guys.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Patty Santos reporting for us off of Highway 39, an area that she mentioned yesterday was pretty much impassable. Right. I know you were out there as well off of Junction Highway, and just pretty scary stuff out there.
Glad to see that it's open now, and really just kind of seeing for the first time the extensive damage in that area of Hunt. We'll be bringing you live reports throughout the Hill Country throughout the morning. It is 7:08, 77 degrees. Let's take a look outside with live cam.
All right, and of course the city of San Antonio seeing some cloudy skies and a little bit of wet weather out there. Sarah Spivey is going to give us an update on that as we get set for the rest of our weekend here, but we are clearly still following the devastation out there in the Hill Country. We'll be right back.
When school's out, food runs out for a lot of San Antonio families. They depend on schools to keep their kids fed, sometimes for breakfast and lunch.
And schools step up to meet that need. I went to 2 local campuses in different parts of the city to show you how nourishing families is a year-round effort. Can I sit with you guys?
Absolutely.
Okay. What was for lunch today?
We had chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, strawberries.
A full belly for her kids means a full heart for Jessica Robles and a weight off her wallet.
We also support my mother-in-law, and my husband just graduated school.
Whether it's feeding 2 kids.
Yeah, it's a financial help and it's a
mental help, definitely.
Mental help too.
Or 3 kids.
As far as food right now, you know, we make ends meet, but it's still like not enough.
Or even 4 kids.
San Antonio, thank you very much. 7:10 right now in the morning, and you know what, Sarah was kind of showing us this a little bit earlier, but do want to remind folks about some of these flooded roads that we're still seeing out there in the hill country, specifically Highway 39 and FM 1340 out there for our folks over by Hunt and Ingram, and just want to kind of zoom in specifically on some of these campsites, these campgrounds. So right here is basically where we had Camp La Junta over in this one stretch. That's going to be a little bit north of Merritt Road as we take a look a little bit off of 1340, and we see that that is right along the Guadalupe River. So this was an area of concern for several of our officials out there, our rescue officials, as they made their way down the Guadalupe River, obviously an area that we had several campers and those sites as well. Let's take you down to Camp Mystic because this was a huge area of concern. We've been getting reports of high water rescues, several of these young ladies, these young girls that were rescued yesterday, and still reports of some of them that are unaccounted for, unfortunately, this morning. But this is that one stretch right here, Camp Mystic. It kind of runs along with Cypress Creek along Highway 39 as well. So you see that's a little bit north of Moore Road. So this one area right here, for the most part, we have not been able to see any video, any footage out there over the past 24 hours. Now we are starting to see some of that as we do get some daylight out there. Do want to remind our folks, though, south of Ingram and Hunt and south of Kerrville, we still have some flooding and some closures on Highway 16 closer to Medina. This was also an area of concern yesterday closer to the Medina River, and something that obviously state officials have taken account of as they have kind of blocked off parts of State Highway 16. A lot of debris on these roads, especially Highway 39, a lot of debris also along Highway 27 from Kerrville to Comfort as well. So again, we will continue to follow the very latest in terms of our traffic situation. Just keep in mind we have got debris, down trees, power lines, structures, things of that nature on several of those highways out there. And city officials and also county officials said yesterday that if you do not need to travel to these areas, please allow them to do their work out there. That was something that they referenced in the press conference there yesterday. I believe we're going to go to a break now. Good morning, San Antonio. We'll be right back.
Madrid, Dubai, and then when we finished off in Miami, and that's me now with I won the men's competition.
Well, that's Paul Holborn looking back at the 7 marathons that he ran over 7 continents in less than 7 days. Well, you might remember that we talked to Paul Holborn back in February after he had just won the men's division of the World Marathon Challenge.
And yes, you did hear her correctly. And now Paul is looking forward to the new challenge of breaking a Guinness World Record next month for running the fastest marathon, all 26.2 miles at the North Pole.
That's right. And from going to a lifestyle of not running at all to getting back into fitness at the age of 40, Paul has been inspiring people all over the globe.
Paul Holborn putting the training in now for a marathon that he's planning to run at the North Pole.
It's maybe like.
Welcome back to Good Morning San Antonio on this Saturday morning. We're continuing following the flooding in the Hill Country.
That's right. We're going to get right to Sarah Spivey, taking an eye on what the Hill Country can expect this morning as they pick up the pieces. Sarah?
Yeah, so the good news is the Guadalupe River is now no longer flooding for a good portion of it. It's still flooding near Spring Branch in Comal County, but even then it's starting to recede. So that is some good news. First responders are going to be able to get out, start the cleanup effort, hopefully find some folks out there. Now, as we take a look at the current setup on the authority radar, you can clearly see that we have got some heavy rain still falling out near Burnett and just to the west there of Round Rock. Now, in these areas, over 10 inches of rain have fallen in the overnight hours. So the important thing to keep in mind is that kind of flooding is still going to be possible for a good portion of our viewing area today. And the reason for that is because we've got this low pressure system that is just meandering meandering around. It's not moving, and it's capable of dumping a lot of rain. Right now, we've just got light rain falling in San Antonio up toward Bernie. It's not even raining in Kerrville and in Comfort, where most of that devastating flooding was yesterday. But we do see heavier rain falling near Seguin, near Lavernia, north of Sutherland Springs and Stockdale, and in Gonzales and Kingsbury. I'm going to be watching this area very carefully to start to see if we end up seeing some of that flooding issues. Because again, there is a flood watch in effect for all of these counties in green today until 7 p.m. because we're watching for the potential of flooding. These upper level lows that have been dropping all of this rain, they are notoriously finicky, and they end up producing rain in different spots at different intensities. And so throughout this entire area of green counties, additional flooding is possible until 7 p.m. 1 to 3 inches of rain, but isolated 6+ inches of rain would lead to flooding. Let's go ahead and take a look at how much rain fell yesterday in Kerr County. This is a look at July 4th rainfall estimates. You can see that bullseye of that pink color right there in Kerr County. That's where we saw up to a foot of radar estimated rainfall in areas. Here's 39 right here winding along the Guadalupe River. Here's where Camp Mystic is, Camp La Junta, Hunt, and Ingram. And the unfortunate thing is there are still kids missing from this event because in a matter of a couple of hours after all of this rain fell, the Guadalupe River ended up cresting in Hunt and in Ingram, 4:35 in the morning in Hunt yesterday, 4:45 in the morning in Kerrville, rose some 20 feet in a matter of an hour or two. Then farther downstream, we saw the Guadalupe crest yesterday at 7:15 in the morning near Center Point, and then at 11 in the morning near Comfort. And then as it made its way and was winding through the many bends of the Guadalupe River in Kendall County, it ended up cresting near Ammons Crossing at 50 feet at 7:15 in the evening, and just this morning cresting at Spring Branch at 5 o'clock this morning. Now there is still a flood warning between Spring Branch and Canyon Lake as the Guadalupe continues to flow into Canyon Lake. But again, the good news is that in Canyon Lake is only 46% full, so it can take on all of this water without them having to release that downstream toward New Braunfels. So that is some good news there. I want to just go ahead and put this all together for you in the form of some headlines. What do you need to know? First thing about the Guadalupe River is that it's receding. It's reaching Canyon Lake later today. We do not expect any more horrible flooding along the Guadalupe River as it empties into Canyon Lake. That flood watch, it's important to know that we're going to be watching for pockets of heavy rain until 7 p.m. tonight. For San Antonio's forecast, we've got a 60% chance of coverage and rain today and less of a chance tomorrow, 30%. In fact, let me walk you through today's forecast here in San Antonio. This is your KSAT 12-hour forecast. We've got some light rain out there right now in areas. It's not raining all throughout San Antonio. I think we'll get a little bit of break in during the midday hours. And then in the afternoon, we're going to be watching for pockets of heavy rain. Otherwise, high temperature of 85 degrees. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the good news with this rainfall. Of course, this has been a devastating situation. But as you know, here in South Central Texas, if you're new to the area, our droughts tend to end in big floods. We've been in a multi-year drought here in San Antonio in the Hill Country. In fact, this area outlined is an exceptional drought. And here's a look at how much rain has fallen on the areas of exceptional drought. Again, we've seen some pockets of up to a foot of radar estimated rain, up to 2 inches around the San Antonio area, even higher amounts across the Hill Country. So this is no doubt a drought buster for the area. Unfortunately, though, We have not seen as much rain out to the west near Del Rio, where we are still dealing with exceptional drought. Many people have been comparing this Guadalupe flood to the flood of 1987. Some of you might remember this. This was July 16th of 1987, where very similar situation happened. A foot of rain fell near Hunt. Sound familiar? That's exactly what happened yesterday. Guadalupe River rose 29 feet. Sound familiar? That's exactly what happened yesterday. And unfortunately, a bus carrying summer campers tried to cross the Guadalupe River at Comfort and was swept away. So just a devastating, tragic situation that happened over a holiday weekend where people are camping along the river. And we've still got a lot of people trying to enjoy time outdoors for the rest of this July 4th weekend. It's going to be another fairly rainy day. Right now, again, just light rain around San Antonio, heavier rain falling east of San Antonio, and we're actually starting to see some flooding from Burnett out toward areas closer to Georgetown. Thankfully, the waters and the rain there is starting to let up. We're going to be with you all morning, continuing to cover the weather. For now, let's go ahead and toss it over to RJ and Sarah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sarah. And I know a lot of folks remember that 87 flood as well. Take a look at the video right now on your screen. This is the Guadalupe River covering a bridge in Center Point, an area that we've been reporting heavily on as those severe storms move through the Texas Hill Country early Friday morning, obviously prompting roads to be closed, rescues, and stalled vehicles as well.
And this morning, a fire station in Center Point is recovering after they say 8 feet of water went through their building, destroying everything in the area. No one was inside at the time since everyone was out on call, so that's good news there, but they have lost about $1,000 worth of equipment. Firefighter Razor Dobbs says it's just stuff that can be replaced.
We're here to serve, and this is nothing compared to what we saw out there today. This is nothing. If there is any wonderful, beautiful thing about all of this was how the community came together on this and is still coming together.
Well, Dobbs says they are trying to get everything back in service so they can get ready for more calls as they come in.
This is a time when we as a state, we as a community need God more than ever.
And you just heard there from Governor Greg Abbott at a press conference last night. So this morning, these are the counties that are currently under a disaster declaration signed last night by the governor. That would be Bandera, Comal, Concho, Gillespie, Kendall, Kerr, Kimball, Llano, Mason, McCullough, Menard, Reeves, San Saba, and Tom Green. All of those counties right there under a disaster declaration as of last night, as city officials kind of updated us on the latest information that they were getting from county and city officials as well.
Yes, our live coverage continues. We have several crews out in the Hill Country taking a look at that devastating damage as the sun comes up this morning. Governor Greg Abbott yesterday issuing a statement regarding these devastating floods. He says the state is providing all necessary resources to Kerrville, Ingram, Hunt, and the entire Texas Hill Country. He said in part, quote, the state of Texas today has mobilized additional resources in addition to the resources sent in preparation for the storms. He urges Texans to seek guidance from state and local officials.
That's right. So obviously a lot of effort and a lot of manpower, and that's going towards this part of the Hill Country as well. And again, right now, so far, here's what we know about some of the flood damage in Kerrville. Again, press conference, officials confirming 25 fatalities so far, with unfortunately more expected as they continue search and rescue efforts today. Plus the Guadalupe River rising to nearly 30 feet overnight at Spring Branch. There was a lot of concerns about Highway 281. That is a heavily populated area over by 281 and Spring Branch as folks kind of made their way from Sisterdale down to Candelia as well. So let's go ahead and go now back to Sarah Spivey with a check on things with the forecast. And Sarah, what can you tell us?
Well, again, just light rain falling in San Antonio, but you look out to the east. Look near Seguin in Guadalupe County. Along I-10 here between Seguin And out toward Belmont, you can see some very heavy rain falling near Kingsbury as well. There's lots of lightning with this too. We're also seeing plenty of lightning and a strengthening storm just to the east of Sutherland Springs in northern Wilson County near Alum, Caddo, and the like. And you can see that these are pretty stagnant. I'm going to go ahead and put them in motion over the last 30 minutes. And we're not seeing too much movement here. So these could very well be producing some localized flooding here soon. So we're going to keep a good eye on these storms east of San Antonio. In a larger picture, you can see that it's just light rain in San Antonio. As for areas up toward Austin, we've had some flooding earlier this morning and continued ongoing flash flooding near the Marble Falls, Burnett, Leander area out toward Georgetown. So there have been plenty of water rescues and things like that going on nearer to the Austin area. So that just goes to show that this atmosphere is still supercharged to produce some heavy rainfall. As we take a look at the headlines for the day here and the weekend, the key thing to know is the Guadalupe River is receding and it's reaching Canyon Lake today. Canyon Lake can take on all of that water. It's actually one of the reasons why Canyon Lake was created. As for our flood watch, we do have that flood watch in effect for all of the hill country and including the San Antonio area, with pockets of heavy rain possible until 7 o'clock. Here in San Antonio, 60% chance for rain today and a 30% chance on Sunday. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at that 7-day forecast, and you can see we still do have chances for rain in the forecast through Tuesday, although flooding is most likely today and somewhat likely tomorrow. So we're going to continue to keep you posted. Sarah, RJ.
Sarah, thank you. And you were talking about all that water coming down the Guadalupe to the Spring Branch area. We've had crews there overnight, and that's where Erica Hernandez is, keeping an eye on that water. I know one of the concerns was if that water was going to go over the bridges. Erica, what are you seeing? We're having difficulties, audio difficulties with Erica. We're going to see if our Patty Santos is ready as well. She is moving her way down from the Kerrville area to Hunt. That highway was closed all day. We had several crews trying to get to that area. That's where all of those camps were located, where the severe flooding is. And is Patty ready?
I think we do have Patty ready to go, and she's been showing us obviously some of the aftermath of some of the devastation out there. So let's go ahead and go to Patty Santos in the Hunt area off of Highway 39. For folks out there, they know that also as a Junction Highway as well. So Patty, what is the very latest? What can you tell us?
Okay, so we are seeing a lot more traffic moving here along Highway 39. We've also seen a lot more emergency vehicles moving towards that area, which is where some of the rescues and search recovery is going on. We are right across the street from the Cardinal Hill Realty Group. And I mentioned that just for some of the folks that are familiar with this area. This is the sign for this building, or this facility that was here at some point. We don't know what it is because it was all washed away. It was knocked down. You could see that the current was moving this way towards the river here. And as you go down this hill, kind of slopes down. The road not passable right now, but I want to draw your attention right here. We're seeing a lot of scattered debris everywhere. And as we looked that way, you could see a car that is still flipped upside down that was washed away by this flood. Hopefully the emergency crews have already taken a look at that and made sure that there was nobody inside that vehicle. But this is kind of the first images that we're seeing. Again, this was closed yesterday. No one could access this. All of this was flooded, and a lot of people are starting to come in. Probably some of the property owners and people that live in this community are starting to come in to see this aftermath. This is the kind of stuff that you're going to see. I don't even know where that car could have come from, but obviously it washed down from this road here, from the water moving this way. We're going to continue to bring you more images. We're actually going to try to make our way back into Ingram to see if we get any updates from officials out there this morning on where their search and rescue recovery is going on this morning. We'll send it back to you guys.
Patty, thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to check back in with Erica Hernandez. We have her audio issue taken care of. She's off of 281 near the Spring Branch area. So let's go live to Erica right now. What is the very latest out there north of San Antonio? Erica?
Yeah, so RJ, as you could see, the highway is open here. It's because the water never got over the bridge overnight, but that is the Guadalupe River that you see there right behind me. It is still moving very fast. A little while ago, we were at FM 311, which is about a few miles down south from here, or actually east from here, sorry. It's the same there as well. This river is moving fast, but it didn't get as high as expected. Sheriff's Department is still out here monitoring the situation because it is still raining out here. What we have been told by them is that they're just making sure at this point and looking out for debris that is coming down river here. So this is still a situation that's being monitored very closely here in the Spring Branch area. But as of right now, all the roadways and bridges here are open. RJ, Sarah?
Erica, thank you. And this is what we saw yesterday morning when we first got on scene around 4 or 5 in the morning in the Kerrville-Ingram area. We saw several cars in the water. I was out there with our photojournalist Robert Samaron. We were able to get videos, drone videos. This is the Guadalupe River just flushing out several cars and even a home. I was able to speak with a man who, him and his wife, were rescued after their home, half of their home and the home next door, was completely swept away by that floodwaters. This home floated about the length of a football field down the Guadalupe River when the flash flood rose quickly into the homes on Waterfront Drive in Kerrville along Bandera Highway and Loop 534. And this is what's left of that home, completely leveled by the river behind it. And the neighbors tell us they fear that the people who lived here may have not survived. And we spoke with the people who live next door, and they walk us through what happened.
But I had no idea that something like this could happen. And then, holy stuff started to hit the walls, and my wife jumped up and looked out the back porch, and it was a river.
Scott Walden and his wife say the water came in so fast there was no time to evacuate.
By the time I went to get my keys to move my truck out of the way, to just back up across the street, the water had risen and flooded my truck. The water got up there in the door about this high, and I looked at my wife and it was like, we need to get out of here.
That water too strong and fast, sweeping them down the river.
We went ahead and jumped out and we got washed down 3 houses, and we finally ended up snagged on a big bush. So we hung onto the bush until we got rescued.
They hung onto a crepe myrtle tree for about 30 minutes before they were rescued by police officers who formed a human chain.
We were kind of going, we hope this isn't it.
Walden says they are grateful to be alive, saying his destroyed home and cars are just material things.
Yeah, this is just stuff.
Neighbor Irma Cantu says they live a couple of houses over, fortunate their home is safe and they were able to evacuate quick enough. Feeling overwhelmed.
A feeling of sadness because, I mean, even the people that were here weren't expecting this to happen.
As they pick up the pieces and continue to look for neighbors and loved ones, she hopes it's a time where the community can stand strong.
Helping each other this is when we need to come together and help each other out.
Sarah Costa, KSAT 12 News. RJ, that was such a small piece of just the devastation out there yesterday along Loop 534 and Bandera Highway. Now that the highway is open, we can actually get into the areas of Hunt and where those camps are. We're going to really see some more severe damage as crews continue to search for those missing people. We don't even have a solid number on how many people are still missing.
And I could just imagine just the fear and how terrifying it is to see basically your home being completely swept by some of these rushing waters. And again, in the middle of the night, I think that is what is so hard to kind of fathom, the fact that all these folks dealing with this intense flooding in the middle of the night where really there's just no opportunity to really see where you're going, where their water is coming from.
And there was no time. There was no time. Everyone I talked to said it happened in a matter of seconds, from grabbing their keys to being, oh my gosh, we're not even going to make it out of the house.
Yeah, absolutely. Some striking images there. And again, thankful that that couple is okay here. So, of course, we were talking about Camp La Junta and also Camp Mystic. That has been kind of two areas of focus that we're following up on. And we actually caught up with two brothers who we're going to hear from in just a little bit here. They were away at camp, and they basically recalled the moment that their cabin was completely flooded by waters while they were asleep. Sarah.
Yeah, they were at Camp La Junta. They said that the campers climbed up to the top of their bunks. They had to make a quick decision and swim out to higher ground. Here's what they had to say.
I'm one of the campers from Camp La Junta, one of the camps that flooded. And I had a firsthand view of the flood. And so the cabins were flooding and the walls were like, they broke down. And all of the campers in those cabins had to go up on the rafters, and they had to wait there until they could swim out. And my brother here, he had to swim out of his cabin.
The flood started getting bigger, and it was going up to, we had bunk beds in our cabins, and it was going up to the top bunk, and we had one choice, and we had to swim out of our cabins.
What time was it? Was this?
It was like, we woke up at 2.
Yeah, we had to wake up at like 4 a.m. But on the way here, we saw all of like the other camps destroyed, like obliterated.
And where were? And can you tell me how'd you guys get out of there? Did they put you guys on buses, or did you have
Yes,
to wait?
yeah, we had to get on a bus.
Yes, we had to get on a bus. We were in other cabins for like cabins on hills for about 17 hours waiting until
we hosted a cabin.
Buses get here, and it was not fun.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Brave kids there. But this is Kellyanne Lytle. This is a photo shared with us by her father. She was one of the many campers, still 23 campers missing from Camp Mystic. She has not been located at this time.
No, and her father spoke to him yesterday very emotionally. He said that he just wants to not say very much. Obviously, it's a very emotional moment for him and his family, and they're just asking for prayers, not only for Kellyanne, his daughter, but also for the rest of those missing campers. And we want to tell you about another family that's missing after these catastrophic floods. And you talk about Kerrville, the Tybee High School community here. This is a soccer coach, Reese Zunker, his wife Paula, and 2 children ages 8 years old and just 3 years old have been reported missing. The family, again, from Kerrville, the Tybee High School there, and Coach Zunker has been the soccer coach there at Tybee for the past 12 years. So you can imagine that he's got a lot of folks that are obviously very concerned, a lot of former students, a lot of former players that he coached, also staff members at Tybee High School. So they were with his family. They were vacationing in Hunt along with Paula's mother, Lucy. Now that house that they were in was actually sitting on the river between Camp La Junta and Camp Mystic. They still have not been found.
Yeah, so a family member reached out to us with the following information saying, quote, Reese and Paula are in their late 30s. Their son Lyle is 8 and Holland is 3. They went missing early yesterday morning when that water swept through the house that they were staying. Paula's mother, Lucy, she was actually rescued by a helicopter. That rest of the family is still missing. And we've been talking about Camp Mystic throughout the morning. They actually released an update after yesterday's event, sending an email to parents of campers saying Mystic families, campers are currently being evacuated. A lot of them were actually reunited at the Ingram Elementary School, and they're going to keep families updated as they learn more. Right now, we do know 237 campers were rescued, currently reunited with their families, but however, 23 campers. This is a Christian camp in the Hunt area for girls. 23 still missing, and now that the sun is up, those roads are opened in that area that were closed off all day, not just to people, but first responders couldn't even get their boats in that area. These all had to be rescues via aircraft. That was the issue with getting rescues to these camp locations. First responders couldn't get their boats and they were waiting standby. And now that the sun is up, those rescues and recoveries will continue throughout the morning, and we'll bring you updates when we learn more.
Yeah, and I know state officials said yesterday they were using DPS choppers. They were also using the Texas National Guard as well. So just a full-on effort as the search and recovery efforts continue along the Texas Hill Country. So earlier we showed you basically State Highway 39. And again, one thing that state officials obviously wanted to reiterate is that they do not want anyone that does not live in this particular spot or maybe looking for family members here to basically travel along Highway 39 and also FM 1340. So that's something that they reiterated to the public yesterday. We realize that a lot of folks might be trying to make their way out there to maybe help out, trying some kind of recovery efforts, but they want to make sure that they do travel to these areas that unfortunately were not very passable yesterday. As we take a look here, this is that spot right there is Camp La Junta, basically off of Merritt Road, a little bit north of that one spot over by Hunt Loop, and this is one area that was heavily affected by the flooding right there. You heard from those brothers, obviously. A terrifying situation there for those two brothers. Thankfully that they are okay and that they were able to rescue some of the other kids. Right here is Camp Mystic. This is much further south from that one spot at 1340 and also Highway 39. And Patty Santos has been showing us some of the debris that we're seeing now on Highway 39. And as we make our way further south, this is a little bit north of Moore Road. And right there's Camp Mystic, which is right off of the banks of the Guadalupe River. One more quick view, kind of a expanded view here. Obviously, Highway 39 being the most affected at this point, still flooding on this particular stretch of highway. Highway 16 as well, but Highway 27 has fully reopened. That one will get you from Kerrville to Comfort, and obviously I-10 is okay for the most part. So again, we're continuing to follow the very latest when it comes to some of these road closures as well. I know that a lot of folks are paying attention to what exactly is going on out there.
Yes, I'm evacuating because the fire department came by and said that the water on the Guadalupe River is going to reach 10 foot over the bridge. I just want to say, listen to what the local police and fire department have to say and go by that, and don't take chances.
So Azaria Oates was at Spring Ranch all night watching the Guadalupe River that was expected to crest. And as you can see that she just talked to, people in the area were evacuated. So let's take a look at what she saw while it was happening.
At the time of us recording this, it's just after 3:30 a.m. on July 5th. Now we're just on the FM 311 bridge here in Spring Branch, Texas. It's just outside of that 281 bridge that we had been telling you about all last night. Right now, we're going to show you a little bit of what this water looks like. I would say it's about 70% height up until the bridge. There's probably about 30, maybe 40% left before it's touching this bridge over here. The water is rushing in pretty fast. The current is heavy. It's coming in quickly. And to give you a little bit of perspective, as recently as midnight, we saw some people who were actually standing down in where that water is rushing through right now. We actually got video of that over at about 11 o'clock, at 11:30, and then at midnight again before they were told they had to move off of the bridge entirely for their safety. And then, of course, we're expecting it to get higher, but this is what it looks like at 3:30 a.m. and we'll continue to monitor this and keep you updated. In Spring Branch, I'm Zaria Oates.
Zaria, thank you.
Yes, so let's give you a look here at the shelters that have been set up for the people affected in the Hill Country and Comfort. They are at Comfort High School and the Emmanuel Lutheran Church.
In Kerrville, shelters are at the Calvary Temple, Notre Dame Catholic Church, Shriner University, and First United Methodist Church.
And we have reunification centers for those people that may potentially still be missing. Those were also set up, one at Ingram Elementary School and one at Arcadia Live in Kerrville. And you, of course, can find this list on our website, ksat.com. We're continuing to update this. You could also get information from the Kerr County Sheriff's Office and the Kerrville Police Department.
We'll be right back.
This morning, the Spurs' two prized lottery picks, Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant, were officially introduced and spoke to the local media for the first time since arriving to the Alamo City. It was also the first time Spurs fans were involved with the occasion. Both Harper and Bryant met the Silver and Black faithful and participated in a Q&A and games. The rookies have been hanging around the practice facility for over 48 hours now, and Harper shared what has stood out to him about the Spurs' acclaimed culture. Also, his goal to help the team achieve a first ever Rookie of the Year trifecta, and his message to a city starving for a championship.
That's going to change really quick. That's going to change quick. I mean, we gonna make the playoffs. But just, I think for the Spurs fans and everyone else, I think our group is very exciting. There's a whole lot to look forward to.
Welcome back to Good Morning San Antonio on a Saturday, about 24 hours after one of the most devastating flood events that we've had, not only in our state history, but in the country's history as well. Sarah.
That's right. So right now, the latest we know from a press conference confirmed yesterday, 25 fatalities at this point, many more expected. We don't even have a solid number on the amount of people missing. The Guadalupe River rose at the highest almost 30 feet yesterday, overnight at Spring Branch. A lot of concerns about the camps in the Hunt area, especially around Camp Mystic, an all-girls Christian camp. 23 campers still missing. 237 campers were reunited with their families. All of these campers had to be rescued via aircraft. Now that the roads are open, we have several crews in that area taking a look at how bad that damage is as those rescues continue throughout the day now that the sun is up.
Yeah, and that's one thing that officials said yesterday was that once that they are able to get to parts of these areas that unfortunately they were not able to get to yesterday, they do anticipate to get a better scope or a wider scope of some of the damage that we've already seen from some of our live shots out there with Patty Santos and our KPRC, our sister station. They also have a reporter here, Robert Arnold, who showed us earlier just an array of downed trees, downed structures, cabins, just basically washed off of the Guadalupe River.
It was really devastating. I was out there all day yesterday with our photojournalist Robert Samaron to see how raw and real the devastation is out there. I walked on the foundation of a home that had been completely swept away. So spoke to people who had to be rescued. They hung onto a great myrtle tree for 30 minutes until a human chain of police officers was able to rescue them. Our Patty Santos was out there yesterday as well, talking to residents, and let's take a look at what they had to say.
We're inside the Ingram Volunteer Department where a lot of the people that have been rescued are ending up. Steffi is one of those victims. Tell me, where exactly did you live?
I lived a couple blocks that way in a 1940 cottage that had never been flooded before at the Hill Country Art Foundation.
And you told me you heard banging?
I heard banging about 5 o'clock this morning, and I thought it was a tree limb. I knew we had a long, steady rain and a lot of lightning, but I didn't know it was that kind of rain. And so I went out, I looked out the window, and I had literally water completely around me.
And so you decided it's time to get out, right? You start trying to make an exit, and what happened?
I opened my front door and looked, and my car was starting to be underwater, and my yard was in water, but I thought I could still get through it. So I was trying to throw a few things together and grab my cat and my dog. And that was like an extra 4 minutes. And when I went back and opened the door, the water had come up, and I knew I couldn't move my car. And so I set the stuff aside, and I grabbed my cat and I grabbed my dog and lost a shoe plowing through the water. My cat went off that way. I still don't know where he is. We were trying to get through to another higher ground, and my dog got caught by the water. And I got to safety, and I just had to break in the window until I could, at 7 o'clock, break into another building to call and get help. And they came and got me, and my dog, in the meanwhile, miraculously showed up, and he's alive and well.
Yeah. This is, what's his name?
His name is Nishkin.
And so he's 13, he survived, you survived. You said to myself, there is no way I am dying in a Texas flood.
I'm trying to climb up on the roof and having a hard time. I'm 74 and I'm climbing up on this roof, and I couldn't, and so my brain was just scrambling because it's water and it kills. I don't know what to do. I know I need to get down. I need to do something. I've been through a lot, and I've lost friends. And I just wasn't, and I feel very blessed considering other lives that have been lost today.
And so the fire department showed up and got you out?
I broke into an office where I could access a phone when there was enough light to see to get in there, called, and literally these guys were over there because it's right down there. Literally in less than 5 minutes, I see emergency vehicles coming in. Yeah. So.
And now you're here, you're so grateful for the help that you've gotten, you made some friends?
I met my buddy Melton here, who was greeting me, helped me get a dry shirt and helped me with my dog. He got food for my dog and water. He's been here for hours. And he's just a great young man, Melton. Melton the man.
Thank you so much, and I am so glad that you are okay, that you survived, and that your dog also made it, but we still have to go check out your home and see how that's looking, okay?
Yeah, Mudville.
All right, well, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
those are the kind of stories that we are hearing here in Ingram this morning and today, and we'll probably be hearing more of these stories, and you can stay with KSAT, of course, to continue to bring you that coverage.
Thank you, Patty. Again, I think, you know, in times of tragedy like this, and this is what this is a tragedy. We still have 23 of those girls missing. This is a time that we are a community and we come together. And so thank you, and it's great to see people's resilience there. As we take a look at Authority radar, you can see that we have got some heavier rain falling right now from Seguin down to Stockdale, Luling, and Gonzales. This is the area that I'm going to be monitoring over the next couple of hours for the potential for flooding. Keep that in mind. Now, this area is not as hilly as the hill country, and so the water doesn't get channeled as swiftly, but still any kind of flooding can be deadly in these situations. So we're going to keep you posted. Right now, the heaviest of the rain falling from Seguin to Belmont to Oak Forest area, near Kingsbury as well. And you can see this is just building on itself, so it's producing a lot of rain in a short period of time. In fact, this one storm has already produced near Belmont and in eastern Guadalupe County about 4 inches of rain. So we really need to be on alert for flooding in these areas in the coming hours. Taking a look at radar closer to San Antonio. You can see it's just some light rain near Bernie, Helotes, Bulverde, Garden Ridge, and downtown area. No rain for the Kerrville area, which is good news. Again, that river has stopped flooding in these areas. It's now at the lower levels. It's still flowing very fast, but it's not at those flood levels anymore. Earlier this morning, overnight, we've had some flash flooding for Burnett, Marble Falls, Leander, Lago Vista. These are the areas that a lot of people are camping at. You've got Buchanan here, Lake Buchanan, Marble Falls, and then of course the Colorado River, which flows into Lake Travis. We're going to keep you posted on everything that's going on up near the Austin area, but I just want to reset here and give you an idea of what we're looking at. Let's reset and take a look at the larger picture. In the last 24 hours, we have just had this low pressure system that has parked itself over central Texas. And there, in the summer months, there's nothing to kick these lows out of the way. Oftentimes in fall and winter, there can be a cold front that gets things going. But right now, this low has just parked itself overhead. We've seen Gulf moisture continue to build. It's not going anywhere. We've got a lot of moisture out there. And as a result of all of this rain, this low pressure system, rather, has created a bit of a rain bomb. And in fact, we can take a look back at all of the rain that has fallen in our viewing area, and specifically in the hill country. You can see there is a bullseye of rain right here in Kerr County. Let's go ahead and zoom into those areas. Here we've got Hunt, here we've got Ingram, this is Camp La Junta, and this is Camp Mystic right here. 39, as RJ has been showing us, is the road there that hugs the South Fork of the Guadalupe. And when you deal with this much rain in a short period of time over a river, you're going to see some flooding, and that's exactly what we have seen. Now, as I mentioned, the good news is that the Guadalupe River is now starting to recede. However, I want to show you just how tall the Guadalupe got along that riverbed there. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. By yesterday morning at 4:35, the river rose at Hunt to 29 feet in a matter of a couple of hours. And remember, these were just trickles. Kerrville, we saw it rise to 23 feet. Farther to the east here along the river near Center Point and near Comfort, we saw that rise at Center Point at 7:15 at 21 feet, at Comfort at 35 feet. And then as it went into Kendall County, notice all the bends in the river here. It allowed for the water to dam up quite a bit. And at Ammons Crossing near Bergheim, it rose to 50 feet by yesterday evening. Finally, at Spring Branch early this morning, we saw the river crest at 29 feet before it heads into Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake is only 46% full, and so it can take on all of this water. So that's a quick recap of everything that's happened over the last 24 hours across the hill country. That in mind, we still do have a flood watch in place for San Antonio, the hill country up toward Austin and points to the southeast. And the reason for that flood watch is because that low I showed you earlier is still not going anywhere. So when a flood watch is in place, we're watching for the potential for additional flooding until 7 p.m. If you get a shower, you could easily see a quick 1 to 3 inches of rain, but we could see pockets of 6+ inches of rainfall. And we've already seen that up near the Burnett area in the overnight area. So that's why we've still got that flood watch in place. So if I can give you some headlines, some quick what you need to knows. The Guadalupe River is receding. It's reaching Canyon Lake today. That is good news. First responders can get out there and start the cleanup. A flood watch, though, continues as pockets of heavy rain are possible until 7 p.m. And here in San Antonio, that's a 60% chance for rain today, 30% chance tomorrow. Let me walk you through today's forecast for San Antonio. We've got light rain ongoing out there right now. I think during the midday hours, we're going to have a bit of a break, but there's the potential for redevelopment in the afternoon for some heavier rainfall. High temperature of 85 degrees in San Antonio. Bottom line, your outdoor activities, keep the KSAT Weather Authority app handy. Over the next several days, we still will continue to see some chances for rain. Here's a look at rain chances. Today's the highest chance for rain, but even into Tuesday of next week, a potential for additional showers and storms before we dry out on Thursday and Friday. This is a clear indication. Summer rain can happen and it can flood. Our droughts tend to end in floods, and that's exactly what we're seeing. As we dry out, though, during the latter half of next week, our highs will be in the low 90s. Sarah, RJ.
Sarah, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go now to Patty Santos, and she is out in the Hunt area where we're getting a new look here at some of the debris along Highway 39. Patty, what is the very latest out there? What can you tell us?
Okay, so I wanted to stop here and show you that vehicle from a different vantage point, but we're seeing a lot of debris scattered everywhere, but this is the most dramatic things that we're seeing. Cars weighing tons flipped upside down. Hopefully there was nobody that was driving in that car when it was washed down the river, but these are the kind of just eerie images that we're seeing across the hill country right now here along Highway 39. And again, the traffic is starting to pick up again here in the area, so we're getting a chance to talk to some of the people that live in these communities. Maybe they're traveling by. I did see a guy that looked like he lived here, and his face was just he could not believe what he was